Why rebuilding yourself in 2025 matters. Good morning, everyone. Here we stand at the dawn of 2025, a year filled with a year filled with possibility. If there's one truth I know deep in my heart, is this: rebuilding is one of the hardest yet most profoundly human things we'll ever do. To rebuild doesn't just mean to fix what's broken, it means gathering courage to stand up, to declare, I will not be defined by what happened, I will be defined by what I do next. Let's begin with a truth we all need to hear. You cannot rebuild yourself if you are running from your story. Each of us has a story. It's a mosaic of moments, and joyful, some painful, some triumphant, and some we wish we could erase. But here's the thing, pretending those difficult chapters don't exist doesn't make them disappear. Instead, it gives them more power. When we avoid our story, it starts to control us. It becomes the silent narrator in the background, shaping our actions, our beliefs, and our sense of self without our consent. Owning your story means standing face to face with it and saying, this is mine. It's acknowledging the messy parts, the heartbreaks, the failures, and even the moments you're not proud of. But it's also about recognizing the strength it took to survive those moments. Owning story isn't about dwelling on the past. It's about claiming it as part of your journey and refusing to let it define your future. Let me ask you something. What parts of your story are you hiding from? Maybe it's the failure you're ashamed of, the rejection that stung so deeply, or the mistakes that feel too big to forgive. Whatever it is, I promise you this: your healing begins the moment you stop running. Avoidance only keeps you stuck in a cycle of shame. But when you name your story, when you bring it into the light, shame loses. Keynote 1. Embrace vulnerability as your strength, its grip on you. And here's an important reminder: owning your story doesn't mean you need to share it with everyone. It doesn't mean standing on a stage and broadcasting your wounds to the world. No, owning your story is an intimate, personal act. It's about being honest with yourself first and foremost. It's about telling yourself the truth. Yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt. Yes, I am more than this pain. Rebuilding begins when you stop seeing your story as something to be hidden and start seeing it as a source of strength. Think about it. Every scar, every tear, every stumble has taught you something. It's taught you resilience, empathy, and the capacity to keep going even when it felt impossible. Those lessons are your foundation, your building blocks for what comes next. So, how do you start owning your story? Begin with compassion. Speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend. Instead of criticizing yourself, what went wrong? Ask, what did I learn? How did this shape me? Then get curious. Journaling, therapy, or simply sitting in stillness can help you uncover the parts of your story you've buried. Once you've brought them into the light, practice rewriting the narrative. You are not a victim of your story. You are the author. Owning your story isn't easy. It takes courage, but it's the first step toward freedom, because when you own your story, you regain control of your life. You become the one who decides where you go next, and most importantly, you begin to see yourself not as broken but as whole, complete with every scar, every lesson, and every moment that makes you uniquely. You own your story before it owns you, because no matter what that story holds, it's yours, and own it is the ultimate act of self-respect. Let's talk about perfectionism for a moment. Because if there's one thing that can paralyze you in the process of rebuilding, it's this idea that everything must be perfect. Society has conditioned us to believe that perfection is the goal, the shiny, polished version of ourselves that we think we must achieve to be worthy. But here's the uncomfortable truth: perfectionism is a trap. It will hold you hostage if you let it. You see, perfectionism isn't about wanting to do your best. It's not about striving for excellence or aiming high. No, perfectionism is a subtle, insidious lie. It tells you that if you're not flawless, you're unworthy. It convinces you that if you make a mistake, or if things aren't exactly how you envisioned, you are somehow lesser. It's a voice that whispers you're not good enough, not until it's perfect. But let's take a moment to challenge that idea. Perfectionism keeps you from living your truth, because it keeps you locked in a state of not yet. It's the enemy of progress. It paralyzes you with fear and doubt, and in doing so, prevents you from taking the very first step toward rebuilding. It creates a barrier between who you are now and who you could become. Think about it. How many times have you put something off because it wasn't perfect enough? How many projects, dreams, or ideas have you abandoned because you were too afraid of falling short? The truth is, the pursuit of perfection leaves no room for growth. It demands that you stay static, that you stay within the lines, and that you never ever make a mistake. But here's the paradox: perfection doesn't exist. There is no perfect way to live, no perfect way to rebuild, no perfect way to be. The sooner you embrace this, the sooner you will free yourself from the chains of perfectionism. To rebuild yourself, you have to first break free from the illusion that you have to have everything figured before you take action. Perfectionism is rooted in the fear of failure, the fear of being judged, the fear of not measuring up. But failure, my friend, is not the enemy, it's a teacher. And judgment from others, that's their story, not yours. You cannot control how others see you, but you can control how you see yourself. Imagine for a moment that you gave yourself permission to be imperfect. Imagine it, you could show up flaws and all without the weight of needing to be flawless. What would that feel like? What if you started with what you have right now without waiting for everything to be perfect? What if you built with what you have, even if it doesn't look like what you expected? This is the beauty of imperfection. It's where the magic happens. Imperfection creates space for keynote 2. Dismantle the myths of perfectionism, creativity for experimentation, for learning. If you wait for everything to be just right, you'll miss the opportunity to grow. There is no perfect time to start. Rebuilding the perfect moment doesn't exist. The only moment you have is now. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it alone. Start by setting realistic goals. Break down your vision into small, achievable steps. Don't focus on how perfect each step is. Focus on making progress, not perfection. It's okay if things aren't flawless. What matters is that you keep moving forward. When you let go of the need for perfection, you allow yourself to be fully human. You accept your imperfections as part of the journey, and you give yourself the grace to make mistakes. You understand that growth is messy, that it doesn't always look neat, tidy, but it's still beautiful in its own right. So how do you start to break free from the trap of perfectionism? Begin by reframing your thoughts. Catch yourself when that critical voice creeps in and reminds you that you're not good enough. Challenged that thought with kindness. Remind yourself that mistakes are part of the process, not a reflection of your worth. Celebrate your small wins and acknowledge the progress you've made, even if it's not perfect. And here's another powerful truth. Progress often happens when we least expect it. It's in the moments of vulnerability, of stepping outside our comfort zones, that we experience true transformation. Perfectionism keeps you confined. Imperfection sets you free. In rebuilding yourself in 2025, you don't need to be perfect, you need to be real. Embrace your humanity, embrace the mess, the flaws, the uncertainty, because that's where growth lives. Let go of perfection, and you'll find a sense of freedom and possibility that you never thought possible. Remember this: you are enough just as you are. You will rebuild not in spite of your imperfections, but because of them. There's a powerful truth that can change everything about how you rebuild yourself. You cannot do it alone. In fact, you are never meant to. Our lives are shaped by the relationships we cultivate, and those relationships have the power to either propel us forward or hold us back. The people you surround yourself with play a vital role in your rebuilding journey, because they either affirm your worth or distort your view of yourself. So let's talk about the importance of surrounding yourself with people who truly see you, the real you, not the version of you that is polished, curated, carefully constructed for the outside world. I'm talking about the version of you that is raw, authentic, and vulnerable, the version that is allowed to be messy, imperfect. These are the people who don't just know your story, they hold space for your growth, your struggle, and your dreams. For far too long, many of us have been surrounded by people who only see the surface, the achievements, the accolades, the curated moments. But these people are not the ones who will help you rebuild. They are not the ones who will help you rise when you fall. It's easy to be surrounded by people who admire your success or love the highlight reel version of your life, but they are not the ones who will hold you in your darkest moments or cheer you on when you falter. True connection is found in the depth of relationship, not the superficiality of performance. You see, when you're on a rebuilding journey, you need people who can look past the cracks and see your potential. You need people who can look at you despite your mistakes, your flaws, and your shortcomings, and still see the strength, the power, and the goodness inside of keynote 3. Cultivate the courage to say no. They are the people who will say, I see your struggle, and I still believe in you. These are the people who hold a mirror up to you and reflect not just who you are, but who you are becoming. They won't let you stay stuck in the story of who you were. They will remind you of your progress even when it feels small. They will encourage you when you forget to encourage yourself. They will hold you accountable, not with judgment, but with love. So how do you find these people? It's about creating space for authenticity in your relationships. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you invite others to do the same. Vulnerability is the bridge between superficial connections and deep transformative ones. It's in sharing your fears, your doubts, your dreams, and your challenges that you open the door for others to step in and see you for who you truly are. And here's the key: when you share yourself fully and authentically, you create a space where others feel safe to do the same. But it's not just about being vulnerable. It's also about being intentional. You have the power to choose who you let into your life. Are you surrounding yourself with people who truly see you are? They people who encourage your growth, celebrate your successes, and challenge you to be better? Or are they people who only show up when things are easy, or who pull you back into old patterns of thinking? Sometimes rebuilding means letting go of relationships that no longer serve you. It's hard. It's necessary. It's not about cutting people out of your life out of anger or resentment. It's about recognizing that some relationships have run their course. You cannot rebuild with people who will not see the real you. Sometimes we hold on to relationships out of loyalty, out of fear, or because we've known these people for so long. But the truth is, loyalty to people who don't encourage your growth or see your worth will only hold you back. Instead, focus on creating and nurturing relationships with those who uplift you. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to become the best version of yourself. People who, when you are tempted to play small, will remind you of your greatness. People who won't shy away from the tough conversations, but will walk alongside you through every trial. And here's the beauty of this: when you surround yourself with people who see you for who you truly are, you start to see yourself more clearly too. Their belief in you reinforces your own belief in yourself. They become mirrors reflecting back to you the strength, resilience, potential you sometimes fail to see in yourself. Their encouragement helps you rebuild your confidence, rebuild your vision, rebuild your life. But remember, it's not just about receiving, it's about being that person for others as well. You are not only meant to be seen, you are meant to see others when you offer your unwavering belief, your deep support, and your honest encouragement to those around you. You create a circle of mutual growth and send strength as you hold space for others. You too are held. Rebuilding is not a solitary act, it's a community effort. It's about coming together with those who see you, who accept you, who are willing to walk with you through the rebuilding process. So I encourage you to look around and ask yourself, who truly sees me, who is walking beside me, lifting me up and helping me become the person I'm meant to be. If you don't have those people yet, start by being that person for someone else. The more you open yourself up to vulnerability and authenticity, the more you'll begin to attract those who will see you, help you rebuild in 2025. Let's commit to surrounding ourselves with people who Keynote 4. Commit to growth over comfort. See us not the version we want the world to see, but the real, raw, authentic version. Because when you are seen, truly seen, you will begin to rebuild yourself with strength, with courage, with a sense of belonging that no perfection can ever offer. The path to rebuilding yourself is not a smooth one. It is filled with moments of uncertainty, doubt, and pain. Yet there is a truth that many people try to avoid: the truth that discomfort is not something to be feared or avoided, but something to be embraced. Leaning into discomfort rather than running from it is one of the most transformative decisions you can make as you rebuild your life. Comfort is a signal. It is a sign that you are pushing beyond your limits, stretching into new territory. Most of us are conditioned to shy away from discomfort. We've been taught to seek comfort, to ease, to avoid pain at all costs. The world tells us that comfort is the goal, that it's where success lies, and that the absence of discomfort is a sign of progress. But the truth is, it is in the moments of discomfort that growth truly happens. When you lean into discomfort, you are engaging in the very process that will transform you. Imagine trying to build something, anything, without ever encountering resistance. If you never experience difficulty, how would you know your own strength? If you never feel stretched, how would you discover new capacities within yourself? If you never face discomfort, how would you ever grow beyond the limits of who you are right now? Discomfort challenges your comfort zone and shatters the illusions of what you thought was possible. It's like a fire that burns away the things in you that no longer serve you, that are holding you back. When you lean into discomfort, you allow yourself to be forged in the fire of adversity. And it is in that fire that your true character emerges. In our culture, we are constantly told that life should be easy, that happiness, success, fulfillment should come without much struggle. But the reality is that every success story is built on a foundation of discomfort. The greatest achievements, the most profound changes, the most significant breakthroughs come not from moments of comfort, but from moments of challenge, struggle and difficulty. Think about the times in your life when you grew the most. Were they the times when everything was going smoothly? Were they the times when you were faced with a challenge that seemed insurmountable? When you were pushed to your limits, it was the discomfort, the struggle, that forced you to dig deeper, to find new reserves of strength and resilience. It was in those moments of discomfort that you learned what you were truly capable of. The discomfort you feel when you are rebuilding is not something to run from. It's a sign that you are moving in the right direction. It's an indication that you are on the verge of something new, something greater than what you have known before. The discomfort is there to teach you, to mold you, to help you step into the next version of yourself. But what does it mean to lean into discomfort? It means that instead of avoiding the hard conversations, the difficult decisions, the painful experiences, you face them head on. It means stepping up to the challenge, even when it feels scary, even when it feels uncertain. It means allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to sit in the discomfort of not having all the answers. It means not turning away when things get tough, but instead saying, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to lean in and learn from Keynote 5. Practice self-compassion. This leaning into discomfort also means challenging your own limiting beliefs. So often we are held back by the stories we tell ourselves about what is possible. What is not we tell ourselves that we aren't ready, that we're not good enough, that we can't handle it, but discomfort is the antidote to those limiting beliefs. Every time you face something uncomfortable, you are proving to yourself that you are strong longer than you thought, that you are capable of handling more than you realized. It's important to understand that leaning into discomfort doesn't mean making things harder than they need to be. It doesn't mean seeking out pain for the sake of pain. It means being willing to move through discomfort when it inevitably arises. It means embracing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than seeing them as obstacles. So what does leaning into discomfort look like in practice? It might mean having difficult conversations with people who you've been avoiding. It might mean saying no to things that no longer align with your values, even if it makes you uncomfortable. It might mean pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone to try something new, even if you're afraid of failing. It might mean confronting your fears, your doubts, and your insecurities rather than hiding from them. Leaning into discomfort also means not rushing to escape the uncomfortable moments. It's easy to want to avoid difficult emotions or situations. The truth is, when we run away from discomfort, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to learn, grow, and heal. We stunt our own development. Instead of running, we must stay engaged and allow discomfort to shape us into something greater. When you lean into discomfort, you embrace the messiness of life. You understand that growth is not linear. It's filled with ups and downs, twists and turns, but with every step you are evolving into a more resilient, more capable version of yourself. Discomfort is not something to fear, it is something to embrace. It is the very force that propels you forward, helps you rebuild stronger than before. Discomfort will always be a part of life, especially when you are on the path of transformation. The question is not whether discomfort will come, but how you choose to respond to it. Will you run away, or will you lean in and allow yourself to be shaped by it? Will you resist, or will you let it refine you? That in the answer to these questions will determine how quickly, how fully you can rebuild yourself into the person you are meant to be. Creating a vision for your life is one of the most powerful tools you can use in your rebuilding process. A clear, compelling vision serves as your compass, providing direction and focus when the world feels overwhelming. It gives you a sense of purpose and intention, helping you move through challenges with determination, clarity. Yet while a vision is essential, there's an equally important truth to embrace. You must stay open to the journey and to the unexpected paths that may emerge along the way. A vision is not just a set of goals or outcomes. It's a picture of who you wanted to become, where you want to go, what you want to experience in this life. It's the North Star that guides your decisions, your actions, and your energy. When you have a vision, you are more likely to stay focused, more likely to push through setbacks, and more likely to create the life you've always dreamed of. Without a vision, you can feel aimless and lost, tossed around by the winds of uncertainty. A vision, however, gives you a sense of purpose and intention. But here's the key: the vision you create. Conclusion: your journey to transformation in 2025 is not set in stone. It is not a rigid plan that leaves no room for change. A vision is a living, breathing, it is a guiding light, but it must remain flexible. The truth is, life has a way of unfolding in ways that we cannot predict, and the path toward rebuilding yourself is rarely linear. There will be detours, unexpected opportunities, and even setbacks that can feel like setbacks. But just because the journey deviates from your original plan doesn't mean you're not still on track. It's easy to get attached to a specific outcome, especially when you've worked hard to create a vision. We all want certainty. We want to feel that if we follow the steps, we will reach the destination exactly as we imagined. However, life has its own rhythm, and often it will take you on a journey you didn't expect. The road may not be as straight as you planned, but that doesn't mean you are off course. In fact, some of the most transformative experiences in life come from the unexpected twists and turns. When you stay open to the journey, you allow yourself the space to experience life. As it unfolds, you begin to understand that every step, every turn, every moment is part of your growth. Sometimes the very thing that seems like a detour is actually the lesson you needed to learn, or the opportunity you needed to grow in a way that was previously unimaginable. When you stay attached only to the outcome and not to the process, you may miss these moments of growth. Staying open to the journey also means being willing to adapt your vision as you evolve, as you rebuild yourself. Your understanding of who you are and what you want may shift. What seemed like your ultimate goal 6 months ago may not feel as important now. This is not a failure, but rather a natural part of growth. The person you are becoming may have different desires, different dreams, and different needs than the person you were when you first created your vision. Being open to the journey allows you to recalibrate and reimagine your vision at any given moment. It's okay if your original vision doesn't look the same 5 years from now. The point is to continue evolving, to remain fluid in your approach, and to honor the changes that happen within you. If you're too attached to the original vision, you risk missing the opportunities that are presenting themselves in the present moment. This doesn't mean you abandon your vision or stop striving toward your goals. It simply means that you allow space for growth, flexibility, and evolution. When you remain open to the journey, you develop the resilience to handle change. You become less afraid of the unknown, less fearful of what lies ahead, because you understand that the journey is just as important as the destination.